Hello, hi. I think we are starting now. Let's check. We have 27. It's just people are joining. Let's wait a couple of minutes. Yeah.
We can already start.
Okay. Hi there. 73 participants. Okay. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining. I'm Anna Babic. I'm a member of the board of Ukrainian Bar Association, and I was asked to open the seminar. Maybe just a brief introduction. I'm happy to be here because I went through the QLTS by myself a couple of years ago, and I remember that was the most important thing is support and the knowledge how the process works. And I think that this is just an invaluable opportunity to hear and ask what the process is, because that the success very much rests on knowing the details, not only the knowledge. You know that the Ukrainian Bar Association, we are 7 southern professionals of different legal background. And one of the goals of Ukrainian Bar Association, regardless whether it's war or not, is the development of us. And this is a great opportunity, chance, especially now, to explore, let's put it so, as a positive experience we have now, to explore other ways the career could be developed further, and some work opportunities. You know that generally the market is down, it's not a secret. And many firms and teams of the firms, we combine our work with some volunteering and military and various humanitarian aid activities. But on top of that, the Ukrainian Bar Association, we try hard to help our members. And one of the initiatives that was in April 22, we together with the Bar Council launched the so-called matching scheme, which basically allows Ukrainian lawyers to relocate to the UK temporarily and try to develop their career further there. And we got more than 100 requests under this scheme. So this seminar and opportunity to talk about Solicitors Qualifying Exam, we thank you, our partner, BARBRI and the international section of the New York State Bar Association for this opportunity. And I wish that these 2 hours will be very productive and interesting, and get all participants fully prepared for the new opportunities in a legal profession. And at this moment, I go silent and pass my word to my colleagues.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Claire Flores, and I am a sales director for BARBRI, a qualified lawyer in the United States and a solicitor candidate in England and Wales. This past April, I attended the New York State Bar Association regional meeting in Spain, where several members of the Ukraine Bar Association spoke and discussed the ever-present conflict in Ukraine. And the entire conference was completely moved by the president of UBA and her words. After I spent some time getting to know Ina and Anna, we had a lot of discussions about the level of interest, especially with the matching scheme of Ukrainian lawyers potentially relocating to the UK. So this really got our wheels turning at BARBRI, and we wanted to provide some sort of a workshop that's educational and informational for the lawyers of the Ukraine Bar Association, where we can discuss with you career opportunities for overseas lawyers in the UK, the process to get qualified as a solicitor to help your potential practice, and finally, to launch a really special humanitarian scholarship for those needing to get qualified as a solicitor in England and Wales. Today, I am joined by my colleagues, Caroline Perriam, our Senior Manager of Business Development directly from London, and Juliana Del Pesco, our Senior Regional Manager of the Americas, who's in the process of getting qualified as a solicitor and going through the exemption process. Juliana will also be helping us moderate the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. When appropriate, Juliana will be happy to interject and ask the question so we can kind of make this more of a conversation and a bit of an interactive panel. So now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Caroline Perriam, to discuss career opportunities for overseas lawyers in England and Wales. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you, Claire. It's lovely to meet you all today. As Claire says, I'm going to talk briefly about opportunities for lawyers like yourselves to qualify in England and Wales. First of all, a little bit, if we move on to the next slide, Claire. Yep. First of all, a little bit about the legal market here in England and Wales. We have the second largest legal market globally, and it's growing, not just in terms of law firms, but in recent years, the number of solicitors and paralegal roles working in in-house roles in big corporate firms, alternative legal service providers, not-for-profit organisations, and government departments is growing rapidly. The England and Wales market is really embracing legal technology, and we're seeing many, many legal professionals becoming experts in this area too. London is very much a global legal hub. English law makes up around 48% of the law in international arbitration and cross-border transactions. We're seeing significant growth in transactions with the APAC regions, in addition to what you expect more from previously US and European-based transactions. And these transactions are also traditionally have been very much based on the FTSE and Fortune 500 organisations, but more and more we're seeing increasing numbers of organisations from outside the larger firms using legal services. And also over half of the 50 US firms based in London have a UK turnover of over 25 million. And the big four accountancy firms are expanding their global in-house legal teams rapidly. So Claire, if we move on to the next slide, brilliant. So two main roles to qualify in England and Wales that are open to lawyers from other jurisdictions are that of a barrister or a solicitor. In terms of numbers, just to give you a feel for the market, there are currently 15,000 qualified barristers in England and Wales in comparison to 215,000 qualified solicitors. So thus, you can see from there are considerably more opportunities to qualify as a solicitor than as a barrister. Solicitors in England and Wales mainly perform legal work outside of courts, and as I mentioned, work for a big range of organisations, including commercial law firms, government corporates, and so on. The solicitors in England and Wales tend to be specialists more in particular areas of law: family, civil litigation, personal injury, immigration and asylum, for example. Most of the time, solicitors advise the clients, undertake negotiations and draft legal documents. It's primarily a desk-based client-focused role with some representation of clients in the lower courts. However, the barristers work at higher levels of courts than the solicitors, and their main role is to act as the advocates in legal hearings, which means they appear in court and plead the case on behalf of their clients in front of the judge, and often instructed by a solicitor. Most barristers, interestingly, are self-employed in England and Wales rather than working for a law firm or corporate. They base themselves in chambers and share the costs of being a barrister amongst them, but they are essentially self-employed. So how to qualify as as a solicitor in England and Wales? If you're interested in qualifying as a solicitor in England and Wales, you need to qualify via the SQE route. This is what Claire's going to come on to talk about shortly. The SQE has replaced the QLTS, Qualified Lawyer Transfer Scheme, and that is no longer a route to qualification in the UK, but the Solicitors Qualifying Exam is what's offered by BARBRI, and that is now the route to qualification as a solicitor. The Solicitors Qualifying Exam is regulated and administered by an organisation called the Solicitors Regulation Authority. So that's where solicitors need to go to look for any details about the examinations themselves and to register as someone wanting to take the exam. Claire's going to talk a lot more about the SQE in a moment. As an overseas qualified lawyer, if you want to qualify as a barrister, you need to look at the information on the Bar Standards Board website. It's a different organisation. Specifically, we recommend you looking at the Bar Qualification Manual, and in section 7, this explains the route you would need to take, whether or not you are eligible for the bar transfer test if you have adequate experience as a qualified lawyer from another jurisdiction, or if you're earlier in your career, you will need to look at the route of taking the bar practice course. There's lots of information in there, and we'll post some links in the chat shortly. Two other things are important to note about the market in England and Wales. You can work as a paralegal, as someone with legal experience in England and Wales, prior to or during your route to qualification. So you don't need to wait until you qualify. And the bonus is, if in the rare instance you are needing to do QWE, paralegal work adds up to your qualifying work experience. Once again, Claire will come on to this. Paralegals carry out a whole range of tasks and services, such as legal research, preparing legal documents, and giving some legal advice, whereas the solicitors will actually be responsible for advising the clients. Coming back to representing clients in higher courts, it is possible for someone who qualifies via the SQE route to actually gain what is known as higher rights of audience. So take the SQE, qualify, and then take higher rights of audience, which enables you to become a solicitor advocate and in fact represent your clients in higher courts. There's very few, less than 1,000 a year, that take this route in the whole of England and Wales, but it is common with people with advocacy experience from other jurisdictions to find this route more accessible than becoming a barrister. I really hope that's helped give a little snapshot into the legal profession and legal market here currently in England and Wales, and obviously happy to take more questions in the Q&A in a bit.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And I think that's some fantastic insight on solicitors versus barristers. We do find that overseas lawyers tend to go the solicitor route because it's a shorter distance, and they're with the higher rights of audience, it does allow them to appear in the lower courts, which is really attractive for our overseas lawyers that are litigators and advocates at heart. So let's talk about how do you actually become a solicitor through the SQE route. As noted, this is a newer route that's come on just this past 2021 year, and it's really opened up the profession for overseas lawyers and changed the profession for solicitors, for domestic law students as well. So it's a bit of a simplification of how to get the qualification done. So what is the SQE route? First is the SQE stage 1, which is the first exam. then the SQE stage 2, which is the second exam, then you have to have qualifying work experience or show that you are a qualified lawyer in your home jurisdiction, which will allow you to clap out essentially of your qualifying work experience requirement. And finally, after that is all approved, you will go through a character and suitability requirements application where they make sure that you have the character and fitness to practice as a solicitor in England and Wales. After that, you are deemed qualified. That was a real simplification of the route. So let's dig down into each of those components now.
Claire, before you start talking
Yes.
about the structure of the exam, we have a very
Sure.
interesting question here regarding eligibility. So Vitali, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name correctly, has the following question. Whether UA qualified lawyers who are not attorneys, advocates, can do the SQE as foreign qualified lawyers, or they need to do the SQE as a non-qualified person and ask for the KWE exemption?
That is an incredible question and a great note. So the great thing about the SQE is eligibility has opened up a lot more than it was for the QLTS. You do not necessarily have to be a qualified lawyer in your home jurisdiction. All you need is a university degree it's called a level 6. So your typical law degree in Ukraine, even if you're not a qualified lawyer, should count for your eligibility, and that's it. As far as the qualifying work experience, your 2-year qualifying work experience need not be as a licensed qualified lawyer. As Caroline was mentioning previously, you can do this as a paralegal. You can do this as a legal consultant. It can be legal work outside of being licensed. So you are eligible and can check off that QWE requirement by the previous legal work you have done, even if you are not yet or not an advocate with rights of audience qualification or a specific license. Your legal work prior to license, or whether you're not getting a license or not, will still count towards your solicitor's license. Again, it's really opened up the profession for overseas lawyers a lot, which is really exciting. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now let's move into the different components of the exam. The first exam is your SQE1 Solicitors Qualifying 1 exam, and this tests you on functioning legal knowledge, FLK1 and FLK2. It is mixed subject, about 16 subjects, and it's multiple choice, 5 answers each, and it's a 2-day exam with 360 questions over 2 days. You have per each section, 90 questions in 2 hours and 45 minutes to answer, and it's completely done computer-based. So what this means is you go to a Pearson VUE testing center anywhere in the world that is providing the SQE1 exam, you can take it there. So it's not necessary for you to travel to England and Wales necessarily. You can go to a Pearson VUE testing center locally, or as local as you can find, in order to take this test. It is intense. It's a lot of information, but it's multiple choice. So what we say is you want to have shallow knowledge about a lot of different subjects, but it is a lot of information in subjects, and it will all be based in the common law English law. So what subjects are tested? Business law and practice. This does include UK taxation, dispute resolution, contracts, torts, the legal system of England and Wales, constitutional and administrative law, plus EU law, and legal services. You'll also be tested over property practice, again, including property tax, wills, and the administration of estates with tax, solicitor's accounts, which is essentially accounting and credits and debts on a solicitor's ledger, essentially, land law, trusts, and criminal law and practice, of course. Ethics and professional conduct will pervade through the entire thing. So you might not get questions specifically on ethics, but ethics will be overall tested embedded within these other subjects. Once you've completed SQE1, once you've passed SQE1, you will then be permitted to take SQE2 exams. This is the legal skills assessment, and it's available after you pass. The subjects covered here are client interviewing, advocacy, case analysis, legal research, writing, and drafting. The in-person client interviewing, advocacy, and case analysis must be done in person in England or Wales. And the legal research, writing, and drafting can be done via computer at a Pearson VUE testing, but it is within the same couple of weeks that you take the examinations. And these cover your wills and estates, your trusts, property, criminal law, civil practice, and business. And it includes all of those laws from the FLK1, FLK2, SQE1 examination. That's substantive material, but in much more of a practical manner. And just to note, the SQE1 is given every January and July, and the SQE2 occurs in April, May, and October, November, to give you a timeline. So next, I want to discuss SQE exemptions and some key information about SQE exemptions. If you go to the SRA's website and review their exemptions, certain jurisdictions have received individual or countrywide exemptions from some or all parts of the exam. Most notably, several jurisdictions, including Brazil, which our friend Juliana is from, this jurisdiction has been completely exempt from SQE2 if they are able to prove 2 years of practice experience. Ukrainian lawyers do not yet have an exemption agreed upon. However, there have been some exemptions with similar legal backgrounds. So as an individual, you are eligible to apply for an exemption for one or all parts of the exam. And once an individual exemption is agreed upon for that country, it may be added to the list for all similarly qualified advocates. So if you are a fully qualified advocate in Ukraine, I would recommend applying for the exemption because it would allow you potentially to be exempt from SQE2 and potentially just take the multiple choice. This is all at the helms of the SRA of their approval or disapproval, but I would highly recommend applying if you are able to. And the documents required for this are things like your transcripts, your jurisdiction requirements to become a lawyer in your home jurisdiction, and some practical requirements as well. So I definitely recommend looking into it. And I know we're giving you all a lot of information at the time. Feel free to reach out to any of us after this informational session, and we'll be happy to, on a more individualized basis, talk you through the exemption process, talk you through the exam process, and answer all of your questions.
Claire, is this session being recorded? We are going to share with all the attendees?
Yes, it will
All
absolutely be recorded, and we'll also provide you with a handful of resources at the end of this that will go over what we discussed as well. And we'll be happy to share this PowerPoint as well with the group for you to have. Okay, so qualifying work experience, we've touched on this a bit. It is if you think of getting qualified as a solicitor as a checklist, SQE1 done, SQE2 done or exempt, qualifying work experience is the next thing on your list. Typically, QWE is required for qualification as a solicitor in England and Wales for recent graduates. However, if you are qualified as a Ukrainian advocate, no QWE would be required. If you're not qualified specifically as an advocate, but have done legal work experience as a paralegal or a legal consultant, or even within a legal clinic during your law school experience, you can submit that for your QWE. You will not be exempt from the QWE like an advocate would be. However, that previous legal experience will count towards your 2 years of QWE. And you can do your QWE while you're studying and taking the exams as well. There's no requirement for it to be done before or after. It can be fluid and concurrent with your studying, whether you're in school, whether you're practicing, or whether you're studying for the SQE. You can be accruing your QWE while you're doing other components of the exam or practice. Character and suitability requirements is the very last tick on your box that you need to complete in order to become a qualified solicitor in England and Wales. So after an application and interview, you'll provide references to ensure that the solicitor is fit to practice in England and Wales. And you'll apply for this completely after your exams are successfully completed and QWE is marked off. It's pretty straightforward, and it's just to ensure that you are ethically fit to become a solicitor in England and Wales. And the biggest advice we can give about this is to be honest about anything and everything. We have to do this in the States as well. So it's just best to be forthright and honest about anything, either prior to your career or during your career. And it's just a general fitness test.
Claire, we have a question here about the qualifying work experience. So
Yes.
for people who have practiced in law firms in Ukraine, including big law firms, I think, ILFs, for many years, could that effectively relieve you from the QWE?
Yes, it can. One intricacy of the QWE is it must be signed off by an English or Welsh solicitor. So that is one key component of the QWE. Yes, that would qualify if your firm does have any English solicitors on staff, or is maybe working via the matching scheme with English solicitors. As long as an English solicitor can sign off on it, yes, your work at a Ukrainian law firm would count for your QWE. Great. Moving on, and great questions, you guys. Thank you so much. Now we're going to very, very quickly go over the BARBRI SQE prep courses, but we won't bog you down too much about this. Feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. We want to keep this as informational as possible. So the SQE prep courses, though, are designed for either law graduates, non-law graduates, graduates and lawyers qualified abroad, or candidates with other full-time or part-time commitments. We really have developed a myriad of courses for you to fit your type of learning, to fit your time commitment. We know some people may be able to jump into studying and study like a marathon for 10 weeks, or you might be needing to practice or doing a lot of other things while you're studying as well. So we have longer term courses as well that our students are successful in all of them. So first, we'll discuss the SQE prep course for the SQE1 exam, which of course is the multiple choice portion of the exam. As I noted, we have a 40-week course, which requires about 10 to 12 hours per week. We highly recommend this for our overseas qualified lawyers, especially civil jurisdiction lawyers that are hearing this common law information for the very first time. The 10 to 12 hours is a really nice pace, and you'll be provided with any of our courses a mentor that will be holding your hand the entire time throughout the course to make sure you're on track. But it's what I recommend for anyone that has to practice full time and has other obligations while they are studying. Next is the 20-week course, which is our focused part-time course. It is 15 hours per week, and it's really great for our law graduates from a UK university that have graduated about 3 years ago. If you do have the time commitment to do 15 hours per week with your with your law practice or with your work or with your family, it's a good course as well. 15 hours per week is still pretty manageable. It's all completely flexible. So you can do a couple of hours during the week and then a full day on the weekend, or break it up however you need to. Our last course is our accelerated full-time course. It's a 10-week course. This is the course that you will need to treat your course studies like a full-time exam. So it's 35 hours per week, which is similar to a full-time job. Maybe not a law job. We tend to put in a couple more hours than 35, but it is a very intensive course. And we think this is best for recent law graduates or graduates from a UK university. Our best fours are just recommendations, though. If you are disciplined and have the time commitment, we can make any of these courses work for you. Our next course is our SQE course. This one, since it's completely practical and heavily relies on in person and in conversation, a lot of meetings with your mentor and feedback sessions, and a lot of mock exams and practice sessions with your mentor and with professors. Because it's that practical SQE2 exam, we've done a 12-week course. So it's not too small, not too big. It's 15 hours per week. Again, all completely flexible depending on your schedule. This is best for candidates who have sat and passed the SQE1 in a full-time employment as well. We've made it so it's a good fit to all of our students. And again, it has really a really high level of mentor support and practice feedback questions, because it's that really practical exam where you're doing the essays, you're doing in-person oral advocacy, you're doing case analysis. So it's really flexible, but it's really, really hands-on. Now let's discuss the prep course features. BARBRI has something called the personal study plan, which is your assignment, and it's based on the intuitive study assistant and coach, which is our algorithm that runs behind the entire course. And it serves up your assignments based on how well you're performing. So as you move through the course, your time is really valuable. So we actually look to see how you're doing, because and then we learn what you know over time, and we know over time what to serve you best in order for you to study more efficiently. Study smarter, not harder. We also have multiple choice exam expertise. This is the first kind of mega multiple choice exam in the UK, and BARBRI comes from the US bar prep world, where we have been preparing over 1 million students for the multiple choice portion on the US bar exam for over 50 years. So we've really brought that multiple choice exam expertise to the personal study plan and to all of your assignments. So again, you're studying really efficiently for multiple choice exams here. We provide bespoke hard copy resource books, which will provide all of your substantive law. Common law will be a bit different than what you might have seen if you are in a civil law jurisdiction or if you're in a combination jurisdiction. And so our resource books really condense everything that the Oxford University Press says that is testable in their books. We condense it in an exam specific resource book for you. And we provide you with exam tips throughout the course, throughout the entire process. As I mentioned before, you'll have really hands-on one-on-one personal learning coaches that will take meetings with you constantly, do practice feedback sessions constantly with you, and answer any of your study questions as well. And we have top law tutors and lecturers as well that will be answering your substantive questions throughout the entire process as well. Our tutors and our learning coaches also perform Prep for Success workshops, which a lot of our overseas qualified lawyers love, because it allows them to hear more about study habits, especially for things like multiple choice exams, which they may not have ever taken before. And also taking an exam in another language can be daunting. Our Prep for Success workshops, our learning coaches, they all have experience working with overseas lawyers. They understand those specific challenges to overseas qualified lawyers, and will help you every step of the way, which makes us a very popular and successful course for the SQE. And here's a quick preview of what that course looks like. This is what your personal study plan looks like. This is what your lectures look like. And finally, this is what your books look like. Just a quick snapshot. You can also take a look at all of this as well in your in some of the resources that we provide. We're going to provide a demo of the course for you to take a look at, and just to let you know a couple of BARBRI's numbers so you can feel confident about choosing BARBRI as your SQE partner. We've had over 300 choose our course for the initial SQE1 number. We've had 79% of the 300 plus students have passed. And if you consider that compared to who's passed the SQE1 as a total cohort, it was 53%. So just by studying with BARBRI is your best bet to study with us. And there are a couple of other details about BARBRI, but just to give you the confidence that we are experts in this, and we're happy to help you every step of the way, from applying, from considering taking the SQE, all the way to getting onto the role of solicitors and signing the role of solicitors. Okay, so next let's talk about what funding support is available. As I noted previously, we are absolutely moved by everything that the community is going through in Ukraine. So we've developed completely, it's a larger movement, but it's definitely been developed due to all of the interest you all have in qualifying in England and Wales, specifically Ukrainian lawyers, in response to the crisis. BARBRI Global is really happy to announce something called the BARBRI's Humanitarian Scholarship. Any Ukrainian lawyers that are refugees, asylees, or displaced, whether you're displaced in another country or just displaced from your home within Ukraine, and you find yourself needing to become qualified in England and Wales as a solicitor, we will do a complete discount of 50% off your SQE1 BARBRI courses. And we're providing a simple application and approval for you all in order just to help you get across the board. The only documents you'll need to provide are proof of residence, and we'll keep it as simplified as possible with you in a pretty quick approval process. We're not just going to choose a few. This is open to everyone. Will be approved by everyone as long as they fit within that cohort, which everyone in Ukraine really should. If you'd like to apply and find out if you're one of the next good steps to becoming qualified, if you want to determine whether you qualify before you take the next steps in purchasing or applying or getting exempt, feel free to do so at www.barbri.com/SQE-humanitarian-scholarship / and Juliana will put that link in the chat as well. If you Google search BARBRI Humanitarian Scholarship SQE, it will also come up. And we really hope all of you, anyone that needs it, will apply and you will receive the 50% off of the SQE1 course. So that leads us to next steps. Juliana has a handful of links she's going to put in the chat. Feel free to book a meeting with a BARBRI team member, apply for the humanitarian scholarship, apply for any exemptions. Feel free to sign up for the SQE Prep Preview, download our SQE Prep Prospectus, and it will all have all of the information out today. Our team is completely here to help take you from every step of the way throughout the course. So from the beginning to the end, answer all of your questions and walk you through every step of the way and help you through the entire process. that is all I have for you today. Do we want to open it up to any more questions?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of questions here, Claire.
Fantastic.
So
Fantastic.
let's get started with questions. We are going to go back a little bit on eligibility and so on. So first question here, do the diploma of Ukraine gives a right to pass the SQE1 and SQE2? So first, if you have a degree, you are eligible to take the SQE. However, if you are already a qualified lawyer, you are also eligible to take the SQE. The difference here will be only whether you have to prove the qualifying work experience or not, right? Anything else to add here?
That's exactly right, Juliana. Well done. All you need is a degree. Doesn't even have to be law. All you need is a university degree, and you can become a solicitor in England and Wales. It's really about which parts you have to complete, which you spoke to. Yeah, it makes you eligible to take any of it. If you are, you can apply for an exemption to be exempt, but that hasn't occurred yet. So we can only, we can't advise too much on exemptions, but we do encourage you to apply for exemptions should you be a qualified lawyer or a qualified advocate in Ukraine. I would highly recommend you apply for exemptions, and it will count for all Ukrainian lawyers should you get approved. But yes, just having a university degree, no matter the subject, allows your eligibility to take on the entire route. Yes.
Thank you. We have another question here now about exemptions. Sergi asked, what kind of exemptions am I eligible to have in which legal field and sector of law? So because the exemption here for Ukrainian lawyers will be based on your individual experience, I posted here on the chat the link to the exemptions assessments, okay? So you have to take a look at all of these rules. But basically, for example, if you want to apply for an exemption for the SQE2, which you might be eligible for, you have to have one or more of these three practicing rights: criminal litigation, which includes advising clients at the police station, for example; civil litigation, property practice, wills, probate administration and practice, and business organization rules and procedures. So just for you to have a sense of what kind of law and rights of practice you have to have in order to apply for the SQE2. But I really recommend taking a look at all of the exemptions options and see what kind of exemption you can work on. Do you guys, Claire and Caroline, do you have any other opinions on this matter here?
No, that's exactly right, Juliana. That's exactly right. The SRA exemptions, they've agreed on a handful of countries thus far, based on individual applications. Once a country's exemption has been approved for one individual, depending on which exemption it falls under, it can be opened up to the entire group of lawyers. So one example is, we'll give two examples here. One example is Romania. They have a blanket exemption from SQE2. So any Romanian qualified lawyer with rights to practice does not have to take SQE2 at all. They're exempt, and that's kind of a blanket exemption. In the alternative, we have New York lawyers, for example. All New York lawyers can be exempt if they prove from SQE2, if they prove their 2-year practice, they've had 2 years of practice. So a brand new New York lawyer will not be exempt from SQE to a recent grad, but if they've had 2 years of practice under their belt, they can they can be exempt from, they might be exempt from SQE too. They still have to individually apply though. So there's different levels of the exemptions. No one has done it yet in Ukraine, so it remains to be seen which sort of exemption will be bestowed. But I highly recommend applying as an individual, because if you're exempt from SQE2, this will save you some travel, exam fees, potentially course fees, and you can just focus on the SQE1, take that at a testing site on a computer based. Again, we're not the final arbiters of this, the SRA is, so please refer to their rules and regulations, but we are happy to, if you have any questions, to talk to you through it. As I said before, Juliana is going through the process right now as a Brazilian lawyer, so we have a lot of expertise in this. We're going through it ourselves. And we're happy to answer any questions about what kind of docs you need and what kind of docs you should be submitting. We do this, we look at transcripts and things like this all of the time for eligibility in the US and exemptions in England and Wales. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help you.
Yeah, and the whole process on how to apply for the exemption is here on the SRA website. All the fees, you have to pay a fee of £265 to apply for it. But as Claire said, if you have any questions, I posted the link again, okay, to the exemptions. But if you have any questions, we are here to help you. I'm applying myself. Of course, I have a pre-agreed exemption, which is a little bit easier than the regular application because I just need to prove that I'm a Brazilian lawyer, but we can help you, of course.
Right.
All right.
I'm applying brand new. As a Missouri lawyer, and we have someone applying with the 2-year requirement as a New York lawyer. So we have experience in all three. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, please. All right, more questions. How can I confirm the relevant qualifying work experience in case I am not an advocate? I believe here that a solicitor would confirm that you have the qualifying work experience, because the solicitor, as Claire mentioned before, will sign off your like form proving that you have the work experience, the relevant work experience.
Right, Caroline, there's a QWE form, correct?
Yeah. There's I can find the link and I'll post it in a second in the chat, but there is a specific form, once again on the SRA website, that people complete. And then once you've completed that form online, you say which solicitor of England and Wales you need to get it signed off by. It's sent to them, they approve it, and then you're hey presto. So it's quite a simple process. I'll have a quick look for the link now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So as long as the solicitor confirms, you are good to go. All right, let's go back to exemptions again. A very interesting question. Is it okay to apply for the SQE2 exemption before you have registered for the SQE1? Yes,
absolutely.
You can do it. Yes, and I would say,
I would recommend it.
Yes, if you want to apply before for the exemption and then take the SQE1, because if this is a project that you are thinking, oh, well, I'm only taking the SQE because I'm exempted from part of the examination, I would do it first and then apply for the SQE1. So the process to review your exemption can be quite long, 180 days. So I would do it first. And then if you are really exempted, you just go for the SQE1. If you are not, you go for it too. So yes, you can do it. Not a problem at all.
Exactly. I think if you know for sure that you're getting qualified in England and Wales, regardless of an exemption, you apply and you can start studying. But if you're not sure, and if exemption is a precursor to you taking this on, then absolutely apply first. Apply first.
Yeah. More about exemptions here. Is it possible to check on an individual situation with respect to exemptions, recommendations, etc.? Who can we contact? So here I would say you must contact the SRA. Of course, we can give you some guidance. If you tell us what kind of law you practice, we might be able to say, yes, I believe that you are a good candidate for an exemption. However, the SRA will be the organization that will say, yes, you are exempted. So you can email them, but I'm pretty sure they will have you to go through the whole process, because they cannot give you an answer, an informal answer regarding exemptions.
Right. You'll have to formally apply and formally wait for your answer.
Yeah. Claire, we have a very interesting question here. How do we apply for the course?
That's great. That's great. So first, I would recommend applying for the Humanitarian Scholarship again. We created it in honor, essentially, of the Ukraine crisis. So I would definitely apply for that and get qualified and get approved, and then enroll. You can go to BARBRI.com. Juliana will put the SQE Prep enroll site in there. Feel free to after you do, you don't have to actually enroll. After you do the Humanitarian Scholarship, once you're approved, that's considered your enrollment, and we'll send you an invoice for the 50% discount. The course is £2,999 pounds, so it puts it at about £1,500, which is basically at cost. It's the best we could do, but we're giving it to everyone, so in honor of the crisis. So once you apply for the Humanitarian Scholarship and you get approved, we'll get you set up with our finance and operations team, and they'll get you started and enrolled and off to the races. We're currently, if you're gung-ho and want to take the January exam, our 40-week is already open, so you can start studying right now, or our 20-week will open in about mid-August, and you can start studying about 15 hours per week starting in August.
Yep. Claire, can you just go back to the other slide with the scholarship information, so they can see? Yeah, so that's how you apply. We have a question here, how to apply for the scholarship. Just visit our website here, and you just fill out the form, and that's how you apply.
We'll put that link in the chat.
Yeah, I will do it
in a second. I just wanted to mention, Claire, you mentioned the flexible part-time course that's open at the moment. That's open until June the 17th for enrollments. So a little bit of time to have a think about that, but well worth it if you can get on it, and then you'll be able to take the exam in January.
Yes, that's such a good point. Our deadline for our 40-week is June 17th. So if this is something you know for a fact you want to take on, book a meeting with us, get on the phone with us. We'll talk you through everything. We want to make sure if you're gung-ho about, if you are really interested in taking this on, we want to make sure you're really confident with your decision. So feel free to book some time, a call with us. We can talk you through everything and get you started.
I just posted here on the chat the link to the scholarship. Okay, so it's 50% again. The full price is £2,999. So it's just 50% off, and please feel free to apply. We're happy to help you guys getting prepared for the examination. All right, more questions. I am last course student in Ukraine. This is from Diana, and have work experience as paralegal. Is it better to receive an LLM in the UK and then a trainee contract, or first to receive a master's degree in Ukraine to pass the SQE in the UK? Who wants to take this question?
It's a really interesting question. Caroline, do you want to take it? You work so much with law firms and the trainee solicitors.
Yeah, so I would, getting a training contract and position in a law firm as the traditional trainee route is actually becoming harder and harder, because the time frame to do that now is really shortening. So demand for those places are high. we would actually recommend now for someone in your situation to really consider the SQE route, for the main reasons that any previous experience you've had can start counting towards any qualifying work experience that might be required. And also, we're seeing more and more organizations outside of the traditional law firms interested in helping and employing people who have done the SQE. So there's a much broader range. You do not need a master's qualification to become a solicitor here in the UK. So even though it's interesting, and if there is a particular niche area of law you want to go into, then sometimes an organization might think that's beneficial, but actually in terms of your quickest route to qualification, it's definitely now with the SQE, is what I would say on that.
And I would also say your qualifying work experience might be more valuable to an employer than a degree. Again, as Caroline said, if it's something very niche, tax always comes to my mind. But if it's something very niche where a higher level of substantive learning is required, go for it, of course, but it's not necessary by any means, and your practical experience will be favorable, I think, especially as a young lawyer, a young solicitor.
Yeah, you can save some time and some money, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's great. Thank you, guys. I have another question. Now it's about our SQE2 course. Darina is asking, can you specify the exact number of individual mock exams with a tutor and tutor's feedback in the BARBRI SQE course? She feels that doing mock exams with the tutor and listening to the tutor's feedback will be really helpful for her preparation for the SQE2. Claire, do you want to take this question? I'm not sure if we have the exact number here of the mock examinations. We can.
Yes, I have it.
Good.
Yes. Here is our October SQE schedule for this year, just so you have it. So our mock exams are different than our practice feedback exams, and I don't want to conflate the two. So our mock exams are the actual in-person or in virtual events that you do at the end of your preparation. And it's called our simulated mocks, and we have those at the very end, right here, right before your call. However, we call them practice feedback sessions, which are also technically a mock exam. We do several practice feedback sessions throughout your course. You'll see all of these, almost all of these, except for workbook study, are some sort of mock exam where you take an examination and then you get feedback on it, or you can request extra feedback on it. So you'll do self-study, or you'll get actual feedback from a mini mock exam, essentially. So if you look through this, you can see you'll also be doing interview and attendance notes here in person. You'll get a lot of practice feedback sessions throughout the course, in every course, and tutor calls throughout the program. There's several of them. And our mock exams, we reserve that term for just the very end simulated exam that's going to be just like the exam. So you'll have 2 half days really of examinations. Well, you'll receive something right at the beginning, and then you'll have to work on it, and then you move on to the next thing, and you'll do it in a very timed format, just like the real exam. So that's what we use for our title of mock exams. But again, throughout the course, you'll have what we call practice feedback sessions, where you'll do mini mocks, if you will, and you'll do short practice feedback sessions where you'll look at the information, create some sort of work product, and then you'll get feedback on it, but it's in a practice feedback format, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would also add to that, Claire, that a lot of the time at the start of the SQE2 prep course, it's a bit like a driving test. You need to learn how to do these specific tasks in the way that they're examined. And our tutors will spend time, and you'll see lectures and materials, and it will take you through exactly how you're going to be examined, because it's a bit like a driving test, as I mentioned. I drive a car every day, but I wouldn't go and take my driving test tomorrow without thinking again how I'm going to be examined. And as well as all the practice, we spend a lot of time explaining to you about the criteria that you're going to be assessed upon.
That's a really, really good point. So we make sure you can walk before you run.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely. Cool.
Thank you so much. More questions now. Do I need to be present personally in the UK to have opportunity to be prepared for the exam? No. That's the beauty of our course.
Yes.
Our course is 100% online, so you can study from anywhere. And also the course is flexible. So if you work full time, for example, you don't need to be online every day at 9 a.m. to watch the lecture. You can do whenever you have time, as long as you keep, the hours we recommend of study. So you can study from Ukraine, you can study from anywhere. As long as you have a computer and discipline, you are good to go. Yes, that was the question. I don't think you have anything to add, right, team?
Nope.
No. Okay. Now I have a question about the scholarship. Once you receive the scholarship for SQE1, I think we're talking about the humanitarian scholarship. Is it any expiration date to use it, or could I use? Could it be used for the next SQE1 in January? So this scholarship is valid for both examinations here. For the flexible course, starting in September, for the July exam. Also for the focused course, the 20-week course starting this August, and also for the the accelerated course 10-week starting in November. So the scholarship is valid for all of this until July, pretty much, if you want to enroll in the flexible course.
All of the SQE1 courses.
Yeah. And I don't think we have any, we also got a question here. Do we offer any scholarship for the SQE2 courses?
No,
I don't think so, right?
Not at this time.
Yeah, there is an alumni discount for if you have taken SQE1 with us, you will receive £500 off the cost of SQE2. So that brings it back down to £2,999.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have done SQE1 with us. Yeah.
So let's say you apply for the humanitarian scholarship, you're going to pay around £1,500, right? And then if you need to take the SQE2, if you don't get approved for any exemptions, the full price is £3,499. And then because you took the SQE1 with us, the price will go down to £2,999. All right.
But definitely apply for the exemptions if you're able to. We highly encourage and we'll help you apply for the exemptions.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I think these are all the questions I have here.
There's one that's coming around attempts. How many attempts are there to pass SQE1 and SQE2, and what is the cost of each? So I can confirm that, oops, I've lost my slides now, apologies. The cost of SQE1 is £1,622, and then SQE2 is £2,493. And you pay those directly to the Solicitors Regulation Authority when you're booking the examinations. That person went on to resits and things like that, and how many times can you take it? You do have, I think it's a 6-year period from when you take your first SQE1 exam to then finish and take SQE2. But I'm going to post a link in a second to the SRA page that details all of that sort of period of time that you've got. So I will do that right now.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
Yeah, I'm posting here also the link to the SRA website with the costs and the fees, okay, for the examinations. And again, the BARBRI course is the full price for the SQE1 course is £2,999. However, if you apply for the Humanitarian scholarship, you get 50% off. And for the SQE2, the full price of the course is £3,499. But if you studied for the SQE1 course with us, you get £500 discount. Okay, I'm gonna post here on the chat all the prices, and also I will post the link to our SQE prep prospectus. It's a really nice document to have, because you can see the whole information about the exam, what is tested, when it's offered, what kind of courses you can take. And I think that's it, right? Everything you need to know about the examination you can see on this SQE prep prospectus, okay?
Yep.
All right.
Let me see. Oh, okay. Is there any information that BARBRI may provide service to preparation for SQE? I know that QLTS School, Kaplan Law School, and no one more can provide here mentioned service. Am I wrong? I don't think I understood this question. Is there any?
So is that in relation? I think that might be in relation to the other courses some providers package around the SQE preparation. So for example, as we touched on, the GDL and masters, do you need that prior to studying with the SQE and other things like that? So we very much focus on the preparation you need for the exam here at BARBRI, and that everything you need to pass the SQE1 exam is included in the course. So there's no additional books you need to buy. There's nothing like that. We provide the books that you need to pass the course, whereas some other providers break down the costs of their course and charge extra for example, books or time and that kind of thing. Yes. So, but everything you need, unlimited time with your study coach, and all the books you need and all of the lectures you need is included in those prices we've quoted today.
Yes,
yeah.
It's an all-inclusive course, yeah. Everything, yeah. And each course length includes everything and is the same price. Yeah.
Yeah. And
all
also, right. Just the last thing here, I'm posting all the relevant links here. So book a meeting with us. If you have any questions, please feel free to book a meeting with us. We are happy to help you. Again, the SQE prep prospectus, where you can find all the information about the exams, fees, courses, what is going to be tested, and so on. And also, if you are curious about how our course works, you can have access to our SQE prep preview, so you can see a snapshot of our course, see how the personal study plan works. You can even watch a lecture, part of a lecture, okay, and see how our method works. Please do it, because it's very helpful when you see how you're going to be studying. It's very encouraging, and I love our course.
And we just want to be a partner for you all every step of the way, and we want to make sure you're confident in your choice. And so feel free to take advantage of all of the resources, the scholarship, and everything that we can do for you all to make sure that you're confident when you choose BARBRI. We want you to be confident for you to choose BARBRI in taking the SQE exam and to be successful on the exams as well.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't think we have any other questions here.
All right. Well, with that, thank you everyone so much for your time today. Again, thank you to the Ukraine Bar Association for inviting us to do this, to the New York State Bar Association International Section for facilitating this relationship. We hope this is the first of many more things we can do and partner with everyone in the organization. And please do not hesitate to contact any of us should you need anything, should you have any questions. We're definitely here to help. All right, thank you so much to everyone, and reach out to us. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.